The Fidelio X2. Much like the SHP9500, this headphone's pretty highly regarded for being outstanding for the money. It disappeared for a bit, prices got pretty crazy, now it's back. I've seen so many reviews for this headphone over the years, and I had to hear it for myself, especially to see how it stacks up against some of the more contemporary headphone releases lately as we push into the end of 2019. You ready? Let's go! Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching BadSeed Tech, and today we're taking a look at the Fidelio X2HR headphone from Philips. No relation. For transparency, this was sent out by Philips for review, but as you should know by now, doesn't affect my review in any way. So the X2HR is an open back over-ear headphone with a frequency response of 5 Hz to 40 kHz with 50mm drivers. Now, I don't want to get too bogged down in the history of this headphone, but you can find these for between $150 and $180 depending on where you look. Versus the original X2, there are minor revisions to this headphone here, mostly all for the better, but the sound quality is identical, so you really don't need to worry about that. But if you're buying from Amazon, you do need to be careful. For a small moment in time, this headphone was produced by Gibson and they glued the ear pads on it. Obviously, you don't want that. Best option to buy is to use the link in the description or go to the Philips website and click on the Amazon link in there. For the sake of value comparisons in this video, we're just gonna call the price $180. First things first, this thing is overbuilt. It's a truck. There's some plastic in here somewhere, but you have to look for it. Headband is steel tubes covered in real leather. Inside is self-adjusting, very generous breathable mesh pad. Outside of the cup's a beautiful aluminum with the signature printing around the wire mesh outer. It's gorgeous. They are pretty heavy at about 395 grams on my scale, but the way they're designed makes them pretty comfortable. They spread that weight around. They're really large as well. They look pretty big on the head, but they fit big head guys like me just fine, and I've gone at least 4 hours in these guys with only minor discomfort. Detachable cable here too, oxygen free, 10 feet long, braided, pretty thick. Does have a cable management clip, but I leave that in the box. Both ends of this cable are standard 3.5 millimeters, so if you're in the market to just add a mic, the V-Moda Boom Pro is the move. It just plugs right in. Tested it too, and there's no discernible difference in audio quality. It's the easy win to convert this to a gaming headset. Now, one potential downside of the V-Moda solution is that these cans do leak loud enough for the mic to pick them back up. I ran a lot of tests here, and even listening at a reserved volume, it still happens. As I'm sure you can hear, the Realtek audio, when I have noise cancellation engaged, it adds a lot of artifacts to the audio. Both versions really, for me, with this mic, whether it's on or off, have a tendency to make my voice sound pretty nasally, but your experience may differ depending on your hardware. Ear pads here are replaceable. Hopefully yours are not glued down, just a little gentle force and they pop right off. These are thick boys, circular, memory foam covered with velour, similar to what we saw in the K7XX. Love these. Outer diameter is 107 millimeters, inside 55 millimeters. They do get a little warm, but nothing crazy. And due to the density of the foam, they do a really good job of keeping that bass in there. 50 millimeter angled drivers here as well, with just a sheer cover over the drivers. Okay, enough. Let's get into sound quality because, oh man, this is not an analytic, transparent headphone. If that's what you want, this is not that. This is smooth, warm, soft butter with highs that just kind of zip in from the outer reaches of space and land right on your eardrum. Vocals feel textured. They sparkle. There's nothing offensive here. This is warm brandy. Bass is low, it's round, it's tonal. The amount of times I made stank face when the bass line hit was countless. If you like EDM, hip hop, R&B, this is it at this price point. Soundstage is big, mids are recessed. This is a lean back, zone out, float away headphone. These sound really spacey and ethereal on a female vocal, and male vocals just feel really syrupy. Everything I liked in the SHP9500 is here, just to a much higher degree. This is like a more polished, more layered, cleaner version of that sound. It's a 30 ohm headphone too, which means it's gonna run off practically anything, including a PS4 controller. I do listen at the top of the volume adjustment with the Note 9. I also tested these on the Burson and the SU8789 stack, and it's heaven. Best by far was the Eddy Current tube amp. It just lets you feel all the texture on that bass. These definitely benefit from power. It doesn't change the dynamics. The bass still feels good without the juice, but you're gonna want that volume. Something like a JDS Atom would be money well spent here. In gaming, these are very solid due to the soundstage. Big open world games are great. Single player shooters are solid. Anything with an energetic soundtrack is amazing. Guns sound great, cars are great. The imaging is really good here, but not on par with something like the HD58X, because I feel like these lack the ability to really layer at the top end, so your ability to hear different high-end or high-mid sounds sounds from different directions at the same time will not be on par. I think there's better options out there for multiplayer FPS specifically. It's not to say these are bad, they're not. It's just that something like the K7XX or the HD58X would be better in my opinion for that specific task. So for 180 bucks, me personally, I would take these over the HD58X, but that's really subjective and it really comes down to how you like to listen to music. Versus the HE4XX, it's a tough call for music. I love those for music, but I never recommend those for gaming. The HE4XX doesn't have as much air and sparkle in the vocals. It's a truer, more intimate vocal presentation. I'd have to give the build quality nod to the Fidelio for sure, and the HE4XX does require some big power to make the most of it. The other thing with that headphone is that to get good bottom end fill, you have to have the volume cranked, and that can make the highs hard to stomach, whereas the Fidelio delivers that rich low end all the way across the volume range. And I love the tonal quality of the Fidelio over something like a Sennheiser 6XX. Versus something like a DT 770 or 990, you're not going to get as much bass as you would get in the 770, but as a bass head, I can tell you, you're not going to be disappointed in any way with the amount of bass on the Fidelio, and the softer high end is going to be a big advantage over both those phones, especially the 990. If you already have a SHP9500 and you're considering an upgrade, this is everything you love about the Ships, just done better across the board. For 180 bucks, I really don't think you're going to do better for a music listening headphone that also pulls double duty for gaming. You're not going to hit another headphone that really feels like a level up until you get to like a DT 1990, and that's a $500 to $600 price tier. So do these still live up to the hype in 2019? Oh yeah, they absolutely do. Again, this isn't for picking out the subtle details of a layered stringed instrument performance. They're not what you want if you like those vocals right up against your ears like a Sennheiser 6 series. But outside of that, if you're a music listener who enjoys listening to music and not analyzing music, and you listen to pretty much everything out there, even like metal, punk, indie, just buy these. That's it. Just buy them. Seriously, this is the easiest, safest recommendation I've had on headphones thus far because the build quality here is outstanding. They don't need an amp. They take an aftermarket mic integration, super easy. They sound amazing on almost every genre of music. Plus the wide soundstage makes them pretty top tier for gaming. I'm really at a loss to find anything negative to say about these. There are links for everything we talked about down in the description. As always, any questions, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.